Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to this workshop of yours, the one and only Trans Academy Voice Workshop. I am Savvy, and today I will teach you and tell you some tips, tricks, and methodology on how you can modify your voice. Make it sound more feminine, more masculine, more androgynous, whatever it is you choose to do with your voice. I hope to teach you how to do it today. First and foremost, I do need to make something clear when it comes to voice. Voice is very fickle. We work with vocal folds, which you might call vocal cords, and they are really fragile. You're talking about like few millimeters of flesh, of muscle, of tissue, and you really want to be careful not to overstress it. To do so, you want to make sure to always be hydrated. As with, especially in this time of the year, we are in summer and a lot of us are living through heat waves. So you want to make sure to always be hydrating. Always drink water, because a dry body means a dry voice, and a dry voice means a voice that eventually can fatigue and perhaps sustain damage if you keep powering through the fatigue. So be sure to drink water at least 10 to 15 minutes before doing any voice work, and just keep drinking water across the day. That is very important. Another thing I have to mention is certain medications such as spironolactone, which is a medication some of us do take for hormonal reasons, is known to be dehydrating to the body. Other things such as hay fever medication like antihistamines also can be responsible for this. And that goes without saying, alcohol and smoking also dehydrates the body. Generally, a lot of substances and medication do, so just check with the medication that you take. On the notice, it might say, hey, okay, this can be dehydrating to the body. Be sure to drink plenty of water. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't stop taking those medications just because someone on the internet told you, okay? But my advice here is, if you have to take those medications that can be dehydrating to your body, then try to avoid working in the same time frame as when you take that medication. So typically, my antihistamines, I take them before sleep, so they have the effect on the next day. And when I wake up, all I do is drink some water and I'm ready to go. Okay? Of course, if you smoke, if you drink, you have your reasons and your wants. And at the end of the day, body autonomy reigns supreme. So do what you want with your body, do whatever you want, but try and avoid doing both at the same time, as they're known to be really dehydrating. Okay, now with that said, let's talk a little bit about how a voice functions. So what exactly is voice? Well, let's take this very simple model. This is the power source filter model, and it aims to describe the vocal process, or how voice is produced, through these three main things. Namely, we'll be talking about the power, or the airflow, as your lungs will provide the air necessary for the voice to be created. Then that airflow will move up the trachea, which is the tube that connects your lungs to your throat. And so it will move up the trachea and then reach what we call here the larynx. The larynx is also called the voice box, and some of you might feel like a little bump on your neck. That bump on your neck is the Adam's apple. The Adam's apple is the cartilage part of your larynx, and so it is like an indicator of how high or how low it is positioned. Some of us might have a very prominent one, others not so much. It depends on the exposure to testosterone and how you use your voice. Okay, so air moves up, it goes up to the larynx, and within the voice box, you'll find little flaps. These flaps are the vocal folds. They vibrate thanks to the airflow provided from below. And when they vibrate, they create a source sound. Ah. That sound will then move up, bounce around in the vocal tract, which we'll call the filter. And so the vocal tract is the throat space, it's the nasal space, and it's the mouth space as well. Now, all of these things make up the vocal tract. They're like tubes that act as a resonance chamber. Very much how a guitar has a really wide body for the strings to produce a sound that will resonate within it. So our voice is similar. We have vocal folds in the larynx, they vibrate, they create a sound, And that sound will then move and bounce around in this vocal tract. And this is where the magic really happens. Once you have the vocal tract and you know what it is about, you can modify and change its size and shape to create different sounds. Have a really small vocal tract and you'll have a really femme and bright sound.
Have a really big vocal tract and you'll have a really dark and masc sound.
Okay? And it's that simple, really. Push air from your lungs. It reaches the larynx. The vocal folds within it start to vibrate. They create a source sound. And the source sound bounces around. And whether the space is really small, we'll filter the lower frequencies out to emphasis on the higher frequencies. And
have the vocal tract be bigger, we will filter out the higher frequencies and have bigger or lower frequencies be emphasized.
And this is how the perception of gender works for the most part. But let's talk about exactly what I want to teach here. I'm not here to teach you how to have a perfectly super hyper femme voice. I'm not here to teach you how to have the super hyper masc Chad voice. No, I want to teach you what exactly testosterone does to our body. When testosterone affects our voices, three main things happen. The first thing is the Adam's apple, or the larynx, will end up
dropping. Once the larynx drops, you get a much wider, bigger space, which sounds a lot more cavernous, much more dark, and gives a more masculine sound. But the second thing that testosterone does is it will make the vocal folds much longer, which means they can now vibrate much slower. And by vibrating slower, they create a lower pitch. Now, the third thing that testosterone does to your voice is also makes the vocal folds that are thin much thicker. And as the vocal folds are thicker, they create a much more buzzy sound as they vibrate. Quite literally, more muscle growth means more mass to set in motion, means more sound produced.
And this is how you can achieve a masc voice, when you mimic the effects of testosterone, that is. I, for one, have been affected by testosterone and have to reverse engineer those. So if you want to learn how to feminize your voice, you want to
bring your pitch higher up, make your voice softer, and make the vocal tract
a lot smaller by raising your Adam's apple, by raising your larynx. Okay? Right. So this is what you want to be looking at when it comes to voice. If you want to feminize your voice, reverse all those changes. Small vocal tract, thinner vocal folds, so a softer voice, and higher pitch in general. And for masc voice users, you're going to want to do the exact opposite. Make your vocal tract
a lot bigger, try to go for as low of a pitch as you can, and then try to make your voice a bit thicker by trying to flex its muscles.
Kind of like you're flexing a bicep. Ha! Really strong, really powerful, buzzy sound. Okay? And this is the main idea. We want to mimic the effects of testosterone or avoid them and reverse engineer them, depending on what direction you want to take your voice to. Okay, so with that being said, let's talk about the other thing, which is in continuation of the vocal hygiene and of vocal health. Of course, it makes sense that you drink water, as the vocal folds require some level of mucus, because the mucus will act as a lubricant for the vocal folds to vibrate. Mind you, when the vocal folds vibrate and create a source sound, they open and close sometimes a few hundred times per second. For example, if I hold, say, this pitch, my vocal folds open and close 260 times per second, quite fast, and so they really do need to be hydrated if they want to be doing that effort. Okay, with that being said, let's talk about warm-ups. As I mentioned before, vocal folds are also partially muscle, and just like any muscle, they do need some warm-up. The purpose of warm-ups is simple. It is to increase the blood flow in the region of the vocal folds so that they can receive the nutrients and the water required to regenerate and, well, to get started using the nutrients they use to vibrate. Just that's how muscles functions in general. They get some nutrients and water from the blood flow, and then they can vibrate and create sound. So how do we set them up for a good warm-up? Well, we'll do some gentle sounds, some vocal warm-up exercises. What I want to do here is you can all unmute yourselves, and I'll count to 3. I'll first do one kind of exercise, then I count to 3, and you mimic after me. Let's try this. I go first. And you can try this all together in 3, 2, 1. And back down. Very good. Let us try a different one. I go first, this time on a Z sound, like in the word zoo. And you can try this in 3, 2, 1. Back down. All right, very good. Now let's try a different one. This one is a bit more fun. It is a lip trill. It's basically this sound. No harm in trying. If you know how to do it, do it. If not, try to follow along anyways. There's no harm in trying, right? I go first. And you can try this in 3, 2, 1. Very good. Awesome. Good job. Now, please, everyone, mute your mics again. You are more than welcome to follow along with everyone who's going to move up on stage, practice whilst your mic is muted. And the next part of the workshop is going to start, which is, well, as per usual, I get up on stage 2 people who want to masculinize their voices and 2 people who want to feminize their voices. I want to start today with a masc voice. So if you're interested in making your voice more masculine, raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji in the chat. All right. Anyone interested in masc voice? If not, I guess we'll start with fem voice. Okay. No one. I don't see anyone. 3, 2, 1. Okay. We'll be doing fem voice instead. So if you're interested in learning fem voice, raise your hand, jump in place. All right. Anira, have you ever been on stage before? No? All right, come on stage. Come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to Anira. All right. Hello there, Anira.
Hello there.
All right. We got 8 minutes starting from now. Hello, welcome. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, how about you tell me a little bit about, well, first of all, has this been the first workshop you've been to, or have you already been to former ones?
I've been on the there like a week ago watching you, and that was
okay.
the only one that I was able to hop in VR.
Okay, very good. How familiar would you say you are with fem voice practice, with using the exercises, and where do you feel like you are at with your voice currently?
Currently, I think I'm at the point that I need to fix some details because I think my voice is already at some good spot because my natural voice is very, very deep. It's the deeper part of the male voice normally.
Okay.
And also my voice is naturally very breathy, so I have to somewhat fight it off as well. I was like practicing daily for half a year maybe, but still I know I have to learn more.
Okay, already from the get-go, I hear a pitch that is about here. Da, 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 da. It's like we're around G3. It's very much within like the mid, even high part of the fem range. You're like talking up around here. Although you're not as bright as this, you're like maybe a little bit darker like this, like that perhaps, and your voice is quite soft as well. Yeah, of course you're not like
As far down as this in terms like you're not that dark or not that dark.
so I would tend to agree you already have quite enough brightness to be well considered within the fem range. It's hard for me to pinpoint exactly where your voice dips because I have heard only very little of it, but we will be testing out your voice and see where it needs to be taken. So, to do this, let us try some sentences. Has the slide loaded for you?
Yeah, I see this.
All right, awesome. I want you to try and read that very first sentence with your
Hello,
current
good
fem
morning,
voice.
how are you?
All right, awesome. Hello, good morning, how are you? How are you? Okay, so hello, good morning, how are you? Very quick, you're going very fast at this. But on the how are you, as you finish the question, as you stop engaging your voice, right? Because you finished speaking, how are you? You kind of go darker, like more hollow. How are you? Right? So try this again. How are you?
How are you?
There you go. That's it. That's it. You just had to catch yourself before the end of the sentence. That's very good. Now, can you say the whole sentence again?
Hello, good morning, how are you?
Perfect. Nothing to say. Hello, good morning. How are you? Hello, good morning. How are you? You're a bit darker. Hello, good morning. How are you? But it's still fem. Okay, very good. Very solid. Now, let's see. Hello, good morning. How are you? Maybe we'll be practicing a bit of a brighter voice later, but I want to see if there's other hiccups that might be more important than this. Okay, let's see and hear the next sentence from you. Give it a try.
A second one.
Yes.
I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Oh, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Please. That please is very bright. Very good. Interesting. That please was brighter than the rest. It might mean that you are mostly getting brightness from making your mouth smaller. Perhaps you could gain a bit more brightness from raising your larynx a bit further, but we'll be talking about that a
When
bit
I try
later.
to raise my larynx more, my sound becomes much more breathy from what I tried.
Ah, that is interesting. Would you be able to share that kind of voice with me?
Hello, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm saying something. I'll have a cup of coffee, please.
Okay. It wasn't too bad. Hello, hello, 1, 2, 3. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. But at the end, I was like, I heard, I'll have a cup of coffee, please. Like you were kind of like,
Yeah.
You were needing to breathe out, right?
Yeah.
Would you say
Like,
that you generally...
that's the cause because my natural voice is very, very low, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you're not wrong. When you have like a much
Lower voice.
that might use lower pitches, so slower vibrations of the vocal folds, and maybe heavier and thicker sounds, right? Then you generally require more air. But as you go up in pitch, you actually need less and less air. Oh my gosh. Your avatar is twisting in all possible ways. Okay. Are you okay? Your head was like 360,000 times. Okay. I'll have a cup of coffee, please. All right. So I don't know. I didn't think your brighter version was that breathy, but I don't know. Okay, let's just go through the rest of these. Just rapid fire. Just go through the entirety of these.
Sure. I forgot to take my hormones. Are you really sure about that? I think I have a craving for pickles. I totally agree with that. No, that can't be right. Blahai is my favorite track.
Hey, bonus points for saying Blowhigh, right? Blowhigh is my favorite shark. Okay, very good. It's a bit monotonous, perhaps. Perhaps you might want to consider having a more feminine intonation. But again, I'm kind of putting you in the spot here. It's like you are, after all, reading from like the board, right? You're not spontaneously speaking to me. So perhaps that is what sets you up to have, I totally agree with that. No, that can be right. The high is my vrchat. Like it's all monotonous. It's the same pitch. So perhaps you'll be working on that as well. Okay, I want to see if we can get your voice brighter without triggering any breathiness. So, okay, how do you generally go? How do you, generally go about raising your larynx, about brightening your voice?
Okay, could
Do
you
you use
repeat,
any
please?
exercise to raise your larynx?
Yeah, I was like back in the days. The first one I was trying was the Kermit one, if I remember well. Like trying to mimic the Kermit sound, and then
How does Kermit get you brighter though?
I
Maybe you just got lucky,
like-
but Kermit technically makes you a bit darker. Like Kermit is like, I suppose the larynx is pretty high, but the problem with Kermit is like the tongue root moves back, and it creates that strange constriction. So you actually have to move the tongue a bit further to the front to avoid that nodal quality, that Kermit-y quality. So, okay. Did you try other methods, perhaps?
Most of the time I was like just trying to gain some muscle memory after like the swallowing thing, like to take control over my larynx somewhat.
No, not the
but
swallowing.
I noticed
Yeah.
that it was too exhausting at some point.
Yep.
Actually, I don't remember quite. It was like trial and error. It wasn't any particular.
I know.
After it.
Okay. Let's try this instead. Have you tried doing some whisper exercises instead?
No.
Let's try this then. I want you to give me a really bright whisper. A very just gentle whisper, like say pat that cat like this.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, you're already going really bright. Pat that cat. Very good. Now try to push less air, not pat that, but instead very good. That last one, pat, cat. That cat was really good. Try to start from here. Cat, cat, cat. Okay.
Cat.
And you're gonna try this. Cat. Very good. Awesome. Now put your hand on your neck and feel for the Adam's apple, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It might be quite high when you're doing a femme voice. Now I want you to say pat that cat, but really dark, like
Pat that cat. Pat that cat.
right. As you might have noticed, the larynx shot all the way down, right? Now try to scale it up like this.
Pat.
Pat. Careful. And this is where it starts to become bothersome. But that cat, you're starting to get too stiff. You're like clenching around a sound, right? So you want to make that sound always super simple and easy. Not the whole sentence, but that cat, but just
Okay. Pat that cat.
careful. Just get that to that. Okay, now to make it even more silent. Yes. Okay, now the larynx is still really high, but you're no longer clenching the vocal folds around it. And I can go cat, cat, cat.
Cat.
Yes. And as I a sentence, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. Awesome. Now try to be slightly louder from that mad brat sat to that, mat, brat, sat. Just slightly louder.
That mat, brat, sat on that flat mat.
Very good. Awesome. That mat, brat, sat on that flat mat. And let's change the pitch of it. That mat, brat, sat on that flat mat.
That mat, brat, sat on that flat mat.
Beautiful. Awesome. And now your voice is already a little bit brighter than before. But see, you did it with a different type of exercise. So what I do recommend is try to practice with that whisper exercise. 2 things to keep in mind. Don't stress the airflow. The more stress the whisper, the more likely you are to bring that stress into the voice, right? The whisper is a really good guide to hear what you're doing, how high your Adam's apple is, and to hear how bright or how dark you are. So it's one tool, unlike swallow and hold, unlike the Kermit's voice, where you can actively hear how bright your voice is, because the vocal folds are not vibrating. You're just hearing,
my larynx is really big.
well, my larynx doesn't change size, sorry. My larynx is really low, so that means a big vocal tract. Right? So just like this, with that exercise, you will able to get brighter without being necessarily breathier. Although there is one caveat to that exercise. Actually, there's like 2 caveats to this. That is that doing whispers can dry out your voice if you're not careful. So you don't want to do too much of them. And that's why I insist on making the whisper really soft. It's of a double nature. You want to do that whisper softer because you want to dry out your voice less, and because you don't want to add tension to your voice that will come up in your voice later. Okay, so just keep trying at this exercise and I'm sure you'll be able to do anything you want. Maybe try to introduce a bit more melody as well, but that might come once you get more comfortable with your resonance, with your vocal tract size being smaller. So yeah, overall you have a really solid baseline. So I would say you are already pretty bright, really high in pitch, and very soft, perhaps too soft at times. So my recommendation would be to go maybe from like a that mat, brat, sat on that flat mat, to something more like that mat, brat, sat on that flat mat, as producing a bit of a louder sound. I know it's when you go for a femme voice, you know, especially if you start from like a really masc voice, like a really heavy, buzzy one, you think, oh, I have to be super soft, right? Soft, super soft, in comparison to a really buzzy masc voice, yes. But femme voices can exist and be very buzzy. That mat brat sat on that flat mat. Even if it's buzzy, it's still a femme voice. Maybe a bit too buzzy to my liking and to others' liking, but, you know, going for that mat brat sat on that flat mat, you know, I have a bit more oomph to the voice. You hear the vocal tract size much better because, you know, if the vocal tract being big or small is kind of like a mold or like a footprint, well, the voice that you produce, whether it's really quiet or really strong, will kind of showcase that shape a bit more. And so being a bit louder can be good at times. So best of luck with your voice work. You've done very well so far. But yeah, try to use the whisper exercises a bit more and see how your voice can evolve from this. Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Big applause to Anira, everyone. Okay, so next up I'll be having a masc voice user who might be interested in making their voices more masculine. Raise your hand, jump in place, or okay, you jumped by mistake, it seems. I don't see no one, so I guess I'll do an extra round of. Okay, I don't do this that often, but does anyone want to learn how to make their voices more androgynous, perchance? That is very specific. Okay. Well, Lumen Desu, come up on stage. Come on. All right, everyone, give a big round of applause to Lumen Desu. I guess you're stuck not knowing how to move, or maybe it was a mistake. Oh, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My keyboard just like.
Oh, it's okay.
Second.
It's all right. We're sneaking.
Am I still
sneaking on the
crouching?
stage. Yeah, you are. It's okay. You were sneaking on the stage. Okay, it's okay. It's fine. Hi. Okay. Hello. Welcome, Lumen. How do I call you? Lumen, Desu, Lumen, Desu.
Lumen is fine.
Lumen is fine. Let's get started. We got 8 minutes. You want to make your voice more androgynous. Okay. How's that work? Do you have any voice goal in mind specifically? Or just, well, yeah, just let me know what you want.
I mean, I want it to sound maybe more like femme-leaning, but as androgynous as I can get it.
Okay. So femme leaning but androgynous. It's like this here is too femme for you, or is it like a bordering androgyny?
I'd say it's maybe a little bit more femme.
Okay. So the ow.
What about this voice? Is this too dark? Does it start to sound a bit more masculine? Does it sound like a femme voice leaning masc, or does it sound like a masc voice leaning femme? Where are we kind of standing here?
I would say it sounds like a femme voice, meaning leaning. I'm sorry.
Mask. No, I know,
Leaning
meaning
yeah.
lask. Meaning
But
lask.
Maybe
Meaning lask.
something a little bit more femme than that is where I'm trying to
Okay,
go.
so like basically you want to go like basically like just a darker femme voice like that perhaps maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah, so something like that. Okay, like to me it feels like just like a femme voice, but like I'm kind of yawning all the time. Like I never stop yawning. Like, oh, I'm so tired, and I keep having like a darker voice.
How do you feel about perhaps brighter and smaller vocal tracts, but like at a much lower pitch? How do we feel about lower pitched femme voices? Do you appreciate the tone of lower pitched femme voices, or is that just to you a more mature feminine voice? One that goes for lower pitches.
I feel like it's too mature for me.
All right. You want to be more youthful, more young. You want to go to higher pitches. Okay, interesting. All right. Well, what's your experience with voice training so far? Are you familiar with the methodology, or are you completely new to all of this?
I would say like I'm a beginner with knowledge, if that makes sense. I have like a little bit
Beginner
of
with knowledge.
knowledge. I've tuned into maybe like 2 or 3 of these so far.
Yeah. Have you done any work on your own so far towards that androgynized femme voice of you of yours, of your goal?
A little bit, but I'm not like at a comfortable point with it yet, if that makes sense.
Okay. Would you be comfortable enough to share it on stage? I mean, at this point, since you're going to androgyny, the definition of androgyny is it's very up in the air, right? Our cultures are really binary coded. You're no foreign to that, I guess. And so, of course, it's either suddenly the voice is really in the femme box, or it's suddenly in the masc box, right? And androgyny, unfortunately, lacks definition in our current day and age, at least in our Occidental cultures. So, yeah, I guess what you're trying to look for is like a femme voice that sounds masculine-ish, or a masculine voice that sounds feminine-ish in a sense, because that's how we can approximate towards androgyny.
I would say like a feminine voice that sounds more masc is kind of what I'm looking for. That would be the best way to describe it.
Okay, awesome. So we can take a look at this. Do you have any experience doing feminine voices, first and foremost? Or is it what you have right now, the baseline that you have been using your entire life, and you've never really strayed too far away from masc voices?
Well, this is just like my comfortable speaking voice right now. I mean, when I said comfortable before, it's not that I'm like scared to say it on stage or like use it on stage. I mean,
Right.
it's more of like it's just uncomfortable for me to use at long periods. And I wouldn't say that it's like, I don't think that I'm getting anywhere with it when I listen back to it.
Okay, that is very interesting. Well, you're not trying to fit the really specific box of the binary femme definition of voice. So how bad can it be anyways? If your voice is not exactly there, doesn't it mean it's kind of already there, right? Because it's androgyny leaning anyways. So, ah,
I mean, yeah,
why
I
don't...
guess.
Yeah. Okay, let's try this. How about you try to read that first sentence in your practiced voice?
That mad
Take your
brat
time.
sat on that flat mat.
Very interesting. I'll do my best to mimic this. That mad, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Like, we're kind of here, right? That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Would you say I did a good impression, or I'm definitely off, but like, it's definitely honing on that, like, you have indeed made your vocal tract smaller. It's a lot brighter. That's why, like, it kind of sounds like a little goblin. Like, it's not, well, the goblin voice, if there is a goblin voice there, that is, if there's like a goblin voice, it's like really thick and it's like low in pitch, but with a really small vocal tract, right? Because they're like little creatures, but they're really angry, you know, like little goblins, right? But yours is actually a little bit softer than that, right? So it actually sounds closer to this. So it's maybe like a really chill goblin, you know, like the kind of goblin who's like, you wanna drink a beer, you know, you wanna chill, you know. Or maybe it's just already, to me, it's already an androgynous voice. But the pitch, I would say, does lean on the more masculine side. So perhaps from where you're starting from, that mad brat sat on that flat mat, you might want to bring your pitch slightly higher up. Especially if you want to mimic the voice that I have done before that you appreciated, which was like this kind of like yawny kind of femme voice like that. Right? Then to do that femme voice, you'd actually would need to lose a bit of that brightness to like make your vocal tract a little bit bigger, actually closer to what your, I guess, habitualized masc voice is at, but maximize more on the pitch. So let's try and go for a higher pitch. I want you to mimic right after me. So let's give this a try. You're here. Let's go up. Very good. Awesome. What's the pitch here? F3. Very good. Let's go slightly higher. All right. Now you have this. Let's try and push less air and try to make it as quiet as we can. So from to yes, very good. Oh, don't mind that. Okay. And now from here, can you read that sentence with that sound? That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
I mean, that's just femme voice at this point. So good job, you're at femme voice point. So now let's try and bring the pitch a little bit out of monotony. So we're gonna first climb up in pitch. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Oh, I don't know if I can go that high, but I'll try.
Go as high as you comfortably can go. If not, da 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 da. Maybe like da 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 da. You know, give it a try. That
mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, very good. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. And now from this high one, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So that flat mat. I think that is a bit too masc. Like, I guess I'm teaching you femme voice, aren't I? It's a bit difficult. That mad brat sat on very femme. That flat mat. I feel like those lower pitches is what your ear identifies as too masculine, because the voice you appreciated hearing was just higher in pitch. and a bit darker than most femme voices. So you actually are pretty able to do really bright voices. Like that mad brat sound, that flat mad was just like perfectly monotonous, yes, but feminine. So it's a bit that mad brat sound, that flat mad. Okay. Now let's try this. Match my pitch. Let's try this. That mad brat. Da.
That mad brat.
Good. That mad
I feel like I'm
brat.
singing.
It's okay, you're following melodies. That mad brat. Okay, so that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So up on mad and up on flat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good.
I'm sorry.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So now you have a bit too much vocal fold mass. The one voice I was doing was a bit more softer. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. The pitch was good though, no worries. So let's make it softer from that mad brat to that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Give it a try.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. Careful on that mad brat sat on that flat mat, which like ended up like very creaky and it's creaky's not bad, but like kind of lost that quality. That mad brat, like you lost a bit of that resonance of that vocal tract size. But that's okay. But I feel like that was the closest you have been to the voice I've portrayed so far. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Can you try and read that sentence again with that same voice?
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. To me, that sounds like a darker version of a femme voice. Not that mad brat sat on a flat mat. Neither
That mad brat sat on a flat mat.
but a nice middle ground. That mad brat sat on that flat mat, which kind of was like that more yawny quality femme voice that I had before, although yours is slightly at lower pitches. Da 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 da. You are around C3 and D3. That mad brat. I maybe would have done it more like that mad brat sat on that flat mat. It's like going up, it's like C4. It's like kind of like going over the third octave. Not really going too far into the fourth octave, but mostly in the third octave. Are you familiar with music theory, by the way?
No, I'm sorry.
It's totally fine. So in music, we tend to cut down frequencies into frequency ranges that we call tones, right? So in an octave, you have 8 tones. So this is C. So it goes like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? So it's eight notes, C, D, E, F, G. Then don't ask me why they go back to A, and then B, C, okay? You might have heard other languages say do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, right? It's just an easier convention for musicians to communicate within what we call the 12 EDO. So it's like the intervals that we decided we would all play on together, so we don't like have out of tune instruments when we play. And so it's just easier to just refer to those pitches rather than like, yes, can you do exactly 214 hertz? Chances are your ears don't hear like the difference between -5 or +5 hertz. So that's already a really bad start. But these pitches tend to be like within like, no, C3 is like 120 something. And then C sharp 3 is 130 something. So it really depends. But what I do recommend is that you get started learning about those. You don't need to learn about chords, about, scales, major, minor, augmented, whatever. But all you need to know is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then it repeats again. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And then C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Right? It just repeats the same pattern over and over up to infinity or below. So here is some softwares that you can use to help you monitor your voice. My favorite one is Vocal Pitch Monitor. It's just what it is. It allows you to like see what your voice does, and there's like a line that shows you where your pitch has been over time. It will not tell you anything about gender whatsoever. Voice tools might. It will give you like a suggestion of range, but you know, the problem with voice tools is like the androgyny range is like super squished to like only a few pitches, so maybe not the best one to work for androgyny. I don't even know if it's the best one to work on very binary oriented voices, but pitch is important, as from what you have preferred in terms of voice that I've showcased to you, you seem to like higher pitched voices as a more feminine leaning sound, and you seem to like a darker sound. So you might not be a fan of that mad brat sat on that flat mat, right? If I got what you liked correct, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. More like, that mad brat sat on that flat mat, right? It's something more like that that you would prefer having, correct?
Yeah,
Right?
it's almost like
Yeah.
feminine, but still kind of mature, but not too mature.
Yeah, sure. Like it's the pitch that bothers you, kind of, right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well then, that is my advice for you. You would want to get your voice definitely brighter than your masc voice, right?
Because you don't want to like sound like this at really high pitches.
Although to be fair, just by going up in pitch, you've actually made your vocal tract really small. So you would actually want to
Like do like yawns.
to kind of like lower your larynx. I have done the whisper exercise with a student from before, so you can like tune your voice however you like. So,
But that cat,
it's really dark, it's really big.
but that cat, that mad brat, that mad brat. A very dark, hollow voice. You could also do that mad brat, which is kind of close to the femme voice you liked to have, like a bit of a bigger vocal tract, like this, right? And you could go even higher, you know, experiment. That mad brat. That mad brat. So use whispers to tune your resonance, to tune how dark or how bright your voice is. So yeah, and use these pitch monitors to kind of learn how to read pitches, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and try to stay between a range of E3 up to C4. You can go a little bit higher, a little bit below, but from your masc voice, you generally are C3, D3, and lower in pitch. So definitely trying to play around with some pitch variations and different melodies could help you out a lot. Here's a suggestion of pitch ranges that you can do. In your case, E3 to E4 or E3 to C4, I think I would mostly recommend that range for you. And then you would just want to make the femme voice, basically just follow everything that you want to follow to do a femme voice. Make it soft, make it high in pitch, so like this pitch range, and make your resonance brighter, so make your vocal tract much smaller by doing a really bright whisper and then closing the vocal folds back on them. But your version of a femme voice that you prefer is one where, well, your androgynized version is one where you want a bigger vocal tract. So to make your voice a little bit more hollow, like that, right? And that is kind of where you want to go. Yeah?
Yeah. Literally almost
Alright.
perfect.
All right, also. So that's all the advice I have to you. If it was a bit too fuzzy and a bit too quick, the VOD will be up in a few weeks from now. I don't know. I don't want to rush the very nice editors at the Academy. I think right now it's Rory. Thank you so much, Rory. But
Thank you, Rory.
yeah, thank you. Everyone, please give a big round of applause to Rory. All right. And here we're pretty much done. So this was more on voice feminization, but a bit more focused. So technically still androgynization, but thank you, Lumen, for bringing up something a bit different in terms of voice goals today. I think we lack a lot of androgyny in those classes. So yeah, Thank you for coming up on stage, and best of luck with your vocal journey. Everyone, give a big round of applause to Lumen.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your help.
All right, let's go. Next up on stage, we'll be having the do we have any people interested in making their voices masculine? I'm trying to look for he, hims, or perhaps they, thems. I don't know. I'm going off pronouns at this point because no one is raising their hands. No. If you want to make your voice more masculine, raise your hand, jump in place, or I don't know, wave. Okay. No one interested. Oh, okay. A little chaos over here. Have you already been on stage before? No. All right. Come up on stage. Come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to Little Chaos. Hello. Hi, hello. All right. We got 8 minutes starting from now. Okay. Hello. Hi. First time in one of these workshops?
Yeah,
All right. Welcome. How familiar are you with voice theory and voice training?
not much.
I think you joined in a bit late, otherwise I would have seen you raise your hand before. So, is it the very first workshop here too? Not specifically on stage, but have you already been in the audience before?
One time, but it wasn't
Okay.
for long.
Okay, so let's go over the concepts again really quick, just so everything's clear for you. When it comes to voice, we want to mimic the testosterone affecting the vocal tract, right? In my case, I have had testosterone, and so I've been basically
Gifted a masculine voice. But, you know, it's also because I mimicked the other men around me that I achieved this voice, right? So it's both behavior and also testosterone helping me get a lower larynx to achieve like a bigger vocal tract size, making my vocal folds vibrate from
really high pitches, much faster vibration rate to
much slower vibration rates, right? So they grew longer, they can vibrate slower.
and the testosterone also, just like in the rest of my body, made muscle growth more easy. And so,
By having more muscle.
yeah, more vocal fold mass, effective vocal fold mass in the vocal fold process.
I can have much more buzzy, much more powerful voices.
So your goal, and I dare assume you have not had testosterone before,
Yeah.
given that you want to work on voice masculinization. So I do have to say, of course, without testosterone, you can't get as far down as someone who is a voice actor for 30 years and has honed the craft of masc voice and, of course, has had testosterone in their body. So sure, there is some limits and limitations without testosterone, but there's still a lot that you can explore. So we'll try to see how far we can make your voice masculine, and with training and practice, a lot of behaviors can make very drastic changes to your voice. I mean, just listen to this. Sure, I reverted the changes
From this voice
to this voice, right? But what tells you that you couldn't go the other way around? There is certainly AFAB metal singers that have the harshest vocals and can go way, way, way lower, and they don't specifically have had testosterone exposure, at least not that we know of. So there's a chance for you too. So let's give this a try. First, let's check your mic settings real quick. So go into your quick sound menu, and once you're in there, check your microphone. Make sure that the noise suppression is disabled. Is that done?
Yeah, it's disabled.
All right, awesome. Below that, you'll find the mic activation threshold. You want to put it all the way down to 0% to the very left. All
Yeah.
done? Awesome, perfect. Now give me a really gentle whisper like a hello. Awesome. Now I want you to say the same on a whisper, but this time we're going to say the words pat that cat. I'm going to start really small and bright. Pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pat that cat.
Very good. Now we're just going to say the word pat, and we're going to go darker and darker and darker. And this is what it's going to sound like. Pat, 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 pat. Yes, very good. Awesome. How did that feel? Pat, 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 pat. Going so dark with the whisper.
It made like my throat feel a little heavy.
Let's, very interesting. Let's make this a bit more precise. Can you put your hand on your neck very gently? Do you feel
Sure.
a bump perchance?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Given your current voice, yeah, I would say it's not like as high as it could be, because by default your voice is not hyper feminine. Yeah, like you're already like a little bit more hollow, so like your Adam's apple is definitely a bit lower. But I want you to keep your hand there, and you're gonna do again the pats, and I want you to tell me how it feels, how your Adam's apple moves. Pat, 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 yeah, how did that feel?
It definitely went down.
Awesome, great. So it's not exactly heaviness you feel, it's more like literally something moved lower. And by having your Adam's apple move lower, you now have a much bigger space. Imagine like the sound of a ukulele versus a guitar. The ukulele is a really small guitar, right? It has a really small body. And when you play it, it's really bright, it's joyful. It's really hard to play any like sad or heavy songs on it. But with a guitar, the body is like twice, if not 3 times as big. And so the sound that you produce when you strum the strings will reverberate in a much bigger space. When you lower your Adam's apple, you kind of go from ukulele to guitar. You have a bigger space. And now with that whisper, we can then go and bridge that into a full sound, aka we're going to close the vocal folds again like
and achieve a really dark sound.
This is a dark sound at a high pitch, but let's see how you fare with pitch ranges. How about you mimic this pitch after me? Ah. Very good. Ah. Go as low, as comfortable as you can. Okay. Oh. Okay. So let's go. Let's go back to this pitch. Oh, sorry. Give me a sec. Okay, this pitch. Ah. Good. Okay, F3 as your lowest currently. Can you do that same pitch again? They're a little bit different. Again? Okay. What happens if you hold that pitch and try to go lower than that? Do you feel like your voice breaks or stops or?
Hold on.
Yeah, give it a try.
It hurts a little bit.
Oh gosh, how does it hurt? Where does it hurt? Oh no, it's not
Like-
supposed to hurt.
It feels like I'm putting pressure on my chest, kind of throat-ish chest area.
Okay, very strange. Does it really hurt or does it feel uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable would be a better word, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because hurt is like, you need to stop doing any voice work for today. Okay, that is interesting. Okay. Okay, try to match my pitch here. Ah.
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 Okay, try to hold that pitch. Again. Good, stop. Think about the sound. Think about how it felt. And again. Very good. Let's go to a high pitch. And back down. Yes, very good. Good for practicing pitch accuracy. Very good. Awesome. Now that we can go to G3 quite comfortably, let's see how it works when we match it with a much
Bigger vocal tract.
right? So again, we're gonna go for the whispers.
But, thud, cat. It's a really big cat. But, thud, cat.
I forgot what I was supposed to do.
Pat that cat. Pat.
But.
Pat that cat. Pat.
All right, and then from here, hold that whisper.
But.
Very good. And now,
But, thud, cat.
Put that cat.
yes.
Pat that cat. Okay, very good. Awesome. Let's try and hold that. Pat that cat. It's really good. Awesome. Now let's
Try to read that sentence with that same quality.
Oh, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Now careful. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So you let your Adam's apple move back up again. Take your hand, keep it on your neck. Don't press down. Just keep it on your neck. Just rest it there. Pat that cat. Okay. Find the lowest position again of your Adam's apple with the whisper. Okay. And then you can say
That mad brat.
on the whisper.
That mad brat.
Very good.
That mad brat.
Okay. And now from here,
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat
Ah.
mat.
the start was good.
That mad
Brad sat on that flat mat, and then you kind of let it shoot back up, right? Did you maybe feel it go back up as you were speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So basically, this is the first step to voice masculinization, being able to keep the larynx reliably low, because a lot of the perception of gender is going to be, hey, do I hear your voice as being hollow, dark, or really bright and femme, right? So if you want to achieve a more masculine voice, you're going to want to learn how to
keep your larynx consistently lower. It gives at first a yawny quality, especially if it's too soft, but once you start to build more strength behind it, it just sounds like masculine but at high pitches. So it technically can work. So yeah,
just keep working at it. Make sure that you keep your Adam's apple really low, and I'm sure you'll get there in no time. Okay? All right, awesome. Everyone give a big round of applause to Little Chaos. You killed it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up on stage. Okay, we are a little bit short on time, so the next one will be a little bit shorter, I'm afraid. That is totally on me, very sorry. But last but not least, it will be femme voice up on stage. So if you're interested, raise your hand and jump in place. All right, I haven't taken anyone from the right side. Penny Forig, have you already been on stage before? Nope. All right, come up on stage. Come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to Penny Forig. hello, hi, welcome. Oh, sure, that side works too.
Hi.
Okay, I'm sorry, I am really late. So we'll be having 6 minutes starting from now. Let's go, let's make the most out of this. Okay,
Awesome.
so first time in one of these workshops?
Yes.
All right, great. So are you familiar a little bit with the terminology? You've listened a little bit into those exercises. So like, you know a little bit now about vocal tract size, really small, bright,
Really big, dark.
yeah. Have you done any training prior to this workshop?
A little bit on the side.
Okay. All right, awesome. If you have done already a little bit on your side, would you feel comfortable? I know it's scary, but would you feel comfortable showing me what progress you have made so far?
Yeah, I can raise my larynx, but I run into issues where I think I just at the end of my sentences really like crash into like the
Yeah.
end of my vocal
I feel
folds
like at the end of
almost.
my sentences, I really crash. Yeah, I hear that too.
Yeah.
I think you could get a bit brighter as well. And we can work on that crash, as you mentioned before. So, first and foremost, let's try and see how bright we can get your voice. Also, try and mimic by pitch here. So, let's start low. Great. What's the pitch here? 3. Great. Now from here, can you read? That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. As you might hear, both of us,
That mad brat sat on that flat mat, still quite masculine leaning, right?
so we would want to make our Adam's apple move up. So let's try and say, pat that cat on a whisper. We're going to start dark.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Great. Try to make the whisper a little bit quieter,
Pat that cat.
a bit gentler.
That cat.
Great. And now let's move up.
Pat.
Beautiful. And now from here, can you say it with that same whisper? That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. But this time, try to make the whisper really quiet, because that mad brat sat on that flat mat is extra stress on the whisper that will eventually carry over to your voice. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Let's go more for a... That mad brat sat on that... Great. It's so quiet, in fact, that your mic was cutting off the sounds. But okay, that's a good sign, if anything. That mad brat sat on a flat mat. Now let's try to hold the ah on that. Less strong, not that, but... Okay, better. Let's try to hit a G3. That mad brat. Give it a try.
That mad brat.
Yes, so good. That mad brat. Let's keep going. Sat on that flat mat. Beautiful. Great. Okay. Monotonous fem voice acquired. Great. Let's break that monotony. Let's try this now. That mad brat sat. Da 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 da.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. Let's try this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Ah.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. Just like that. You killed it. That flat mat. Okay, that's it. That's fem. Okay, now let's try to make it more intonated. Let's try this. That mad brat sat
That mad brat sat.
Careful here. Now, whilst you were holding it really well with that mad brat, that. Now, that mad brat, we kind of lost that brightness. Take your hand, put it on your neck, gently, don't press down. And I want you to find your Adam's apple. Is it high, low, and a neutral position? Whatever it is, do the pats from dark to bright. Pats, 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 pats. And go for the highest, brightest one. Very good. And you remembered to be quiet with the whisper. Very good. And now, that's mad brat. Let's go back. That's mad brat sat.
That mad brat sat.
Very
On that
good.
flat mat.
And let's try this. That mad brat sat. Da 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 da.
That mad brat sat.
Beautiful. You didn't even drop here. That mad brat sat is what I expected, but I heard that mad brat sat. Sorry, alarm, please stop. Okay, that mad brat sat on flat mat. Okay, let's try the whole sentence now. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. All right, awesome. A little bit dark on the start. That mad brat sat on that flat mud. Dark on the start and the finish. I think that's your voice setting up and relaxing a bit too early before the end of the sentence. But other than that, really good. I know we didn't talk about the crash of your voice, but I think you got magnitudes better than the first voice you showed me before. So this was a lot brighter, a lot more femme. That was really good, very solid. What do I gotta say? That was perfect. One thing I have for an advice is if you're gonna read sentences or like speak sentences, you might encounter this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Like that. Right? Because currently you are kind of tied to your muscle memory and your current vocal behavior, which is, I dare suppose, more leaning like around a more masc range, right? You tend to start sentences high and you always end them really low. And as you end them really low, your brain is like, okay, I'm going to finish a sentence. I have to finish it really low, right? And so you kind of have to counteract that. That doesn't mean that femme voices do never go low. They do. Look, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Right? I go down. I just don't go as down. Flat now, right? So you kind of have to cut off a little bit earlier. What you can practice is like those different ones. So you're like, okay, what was my lowest pitch? I look on the app. The app says flat now. Ooh, the pitch is C3. What do we see? C3 is a bit too masc, okay? So we can try and end up a little bit higher. Flat mat. I'm going to stop at E3. Flat mat. So flat mat. And that works. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. And that works fine, right? But it's not exactly just the pitch the issue, right? It can also just be the resonance, the vocal tract size. You can very much finish on a C3. Right now I have a femme voice down at C3 and even below if I want to. It doesn't make me sound more masculine, does it? That is because I keep my voice very soft and I keep my Adam's apple really high. So, yeah, it's up to you. You can conquer those lower pitches, although if you go here, good luck. This is really hard to feminize, not gonna lie. But you can feminize as far as down here. I think for beginners, it's easier to feminize all the way up to here or down to here, depending on how you see it. But yeah, if you ever encounter those crashes, just take some pitch monitoring software. Okay, what's my starting pitch? Flat, C4 or yeah, flat, not, ooh, oh, C3, if not B2. That's a bit too low. That's mad. So you can practice da, 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 right? Like different melodies, right? It's just one pitch to another, right? So try to make the pitch a little bit higher when you end up lower. And be sure that it ends up really bright, just like the rest of your voice. If you keep your hand, you should feel if your Adam's apple shoots back down, right? So that's one way to tell. Okay, sorry for the shorter time. It was really condensed, but you did it really well. Everyone give a big round of applause to Penny.
Thank you.
You killed it. You're welcome. Best of luck with your voice practice and journey. Okay, so we are done here almost. Rory 1B, do we have any questions from Twitch or from Discord? I'll be answering 2 today. All right, thank you. No questions from Discord. All right, then I'll be answering 2 questions in the audience. If you have any questions, get closer. I'll be only taking 2 questions. Yes, okay, so you two, Dickens and Bell, Burpatch, you have questions? Okay, just come closer, both of you. All right, get closer so the stage can hear you better. Thank you. What's your question about?
Can people actually do a sassy voice?
You mean like a sassy voice? Like, did you really ask for a sassy voice? Like totally. Like sassy voice is a lot about like I don't know. I feel like it's a mood. It's hard for me to put into words. What exactly is sass? It's like pretending there's questions where they're not supposed to be questions. I kind of feel it's like you're asking silly questions all the time, I feel. So to me, it's something that's more rooted in the intonation, more than you know, a type of voice. Maybe your voice is very bright, and I feel like that could be very adjacent to sass, right? Because you heard my voice, like, if I want to be sassy, I'm like kind of put a funny voice, like, you know, like I'm not for real, you know, like I'm just pretending to be your friend. No, that's not sass. It's just mean and evil. But no, sass is possible in any gender. To be honest, it's not a mood I generally go for. It's a bit hard for me to capture. But yeah, I generally think that it's brighter voices, even in masc voices, like, for real? Yeah. I don't know. Guys are not that sassy, are they? It's a bit of a tricky question to answer. But generally, I would say it's more of an intonation thing. The best thing I would say is find a sassy voice you like online, whether it is a voice actress or voice actor. I don't know which direction you're trying to take. Whether it is like a streamer, a content creator, take a snippet of their voice, no more than 5 seconds, like a sentence or 2. Like take it, snippet, then listen through it a few times. Listen to what the different qualities are, how bright the voice is, how dark it is. Is it like in the middle maybe? Or is it darker? Is it brighter? Is the pitch moving a certain space, certain way over? Right? So is it like ending up as a question? Is it ending down lower? Is it kind of staying flat and monotonous? So yeah. Voice breakdowns are super powerful when it comes to mimicking a very specific type of voice. And then try and mimic it and add it to your own voice. I dare suppose that question was, how can I do a sassy voice, right? Kind of. Okay, well, awesome. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Belle, what's your question about?
Hi. So,
Hi.
you mentioned earlier on during the kind of androgynous voice segment that there's ways to androgynize, not really androgynize, to even go full femme on a much lower voice, like closer to the E3, F3 range, but maybe even like into the C3 area. And part of what I was wondering is, how does is there a short primer on how that works? Is there like a resource anywhere I could go to check that out?
So, okay. I'm gonna try to rephrase your question. You correct me if I'm wrong. Is it about like where pitch starts to matter in terms of how the gender is perceived? Kind of like, when do I go too low and end up sounding masculine, or when do I go too high and end up being perceived feminine?
Not exactly. I've heard super feminine voices that are very low, like contralto
Absolutely.
kind of styles. And I guess the question is like what sort of things do you need to pay attention to reach that level of clearly feminine, clearly like perceived as feminine while still in that much lower, not
Okay.
pressing yourself quite as high range.
Okay, so the simple and easy question was, how do I do a femme voice at lower pitches?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, perfect. We have here the perfect graph for this. So these are, I wrote this and I made these completely arbitrarily, okay? Common socially gendered ranges. This is not a resource to take by for truth or by heart. It's just one suggestion I have. Most femme voices tend to be here. Most masc voices tend to be here. But there's femme voices, as you said, that can be around here. When we talk about femme voices, we generally are above here, but we can very much go lower. And so, da 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 da. Right now, I'm at D sharp 3, so it's right here at the limit. And I'm going to move down to a D3. I'm going to move down to a C sharp 3 or a C3, or even lower to a B2. Or even lower to an A sharp 2. But like around here, it starts to get really tricky to kind of maintain that feminine sound. There are several reasons for this. First of all, when you want to do really low femme voices that sound feminine at low pitches, you have to do those three things still. Have a really bright sound by having a smaller vocal tract, bringing your Adam's apple up. You want to have your voice be extremely soft because those lower pitches are generally used by masculine voices, and those masculine voices very typically tend to have a lot more vocal fold mass, and as soon as I increase the vocal fold mass, I just sound masculine again. So I have to be really careful to have a soft voice. You will tend to hear it. Feminine voices that are at lower pitches are not loud, and if they are, it's generally studio recordings, or if they are, well, people will be like, that's androgynous or that's borders masculine, because we tend to expect lower pitches to be produced only by people who have had testosterone exposure. So our brain is kind of wired like that. It's like, okay, it's wired like that because social expectations, of course, it's cultural, it's, it depends on the different cultures. We can find how gender is codified, but you can very much be at lower pitches. So the takeaway is, you can be at lower pitches, but you have to be really soft and you have to stay quite bright. Although you don't want to be too bright, because right now my resonance, my vocal tract size is actually not that small. If it was any smaller, it would start to sound like this. And I feel like this actually starts to sound more cartoonish. So to sound a bit more realistic, I would tend to leave like a little bit more openness. I would like leave the vocal tract a little bit more open, a little bit bigger. And of course, the other thing that sets aside a masc voice from a femme voice at such lower pitches is how the pitch behaves. Masc voices will tend to go even further down until they finish their sentences really low, right? But femme voices will tend to move up and down, eventually going back down to that lower pitch, but still making sure they go up higher and then back lower. So there's some motion of like melody that you will still go to higher pitches, even if you end up at lower pitches. Okay?
Thank you so much. That's basically all I needed to ask.
All right, awesome. I'm very happy I could help you out. All right, awesome. I have a burning furnace on my face, so I won't make this any longer. Thank you so much, Rory. Thank you so much, Wannabe, for helping me make this possible. And thank you to the whole Academy, and thank you all for being here today. And I hope you learned something today. So let's based beggar poggers I see over here. All right, so let's see. I'm going to do the blurble of the end. Hi, everyone. My name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization. I also teach
Voice masculinization.
I also teach stuff such as voice acting, singing, and even human beatboxing with sounds such as not easy to pull off with really dry lips. But it works. So anyways, if you want to perhaps skip schedule a more private setting lesson or even a public lesson with me, you can do so by contacting me at savvy_sav on Discord. I'll be sure to answer any DMs if you have any further questions. I would also be happy to answer those. I also have a Discord server in which I do public lessons. So they're kind of like this workshop. Instead, it's just one student for an entire hour, and you can also listen in and ask questions in the text chat during the session. So you get extra work and extra knowledge and extra practice out of this. At least that's what I hope you can get. So you can join my Discord through that link. But there's a more simple way. You can just click my bio on here in the vrchat, and there's a link that links directly to Scientifically Augmented Voice, my very own Discord server. So yeah, that's all I had to say. I hope you all have a great rest and end of Pride Month. Remember, Pride is really every day, so just stay strong, stay proud, and stay yourself at most, and that is the most important thing, of course. So yeah, beautiful rainbows, amazing. So yeah, I'll be seeing you all in the next session, which will be next Sunday. Wow, rainbows. That's beautiful. Okay. All right, I'm tired. I'm really burning here. So y'all have a great one. I'll see you all in the next workshop. Bye everyone.